Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. Today we have a different style of podcast. This is an Ask Me Anything podcast. So I'm super excited to hear the questions that you all threw my way. And it's been 48 hours without Philadelphia sports, and I feel I am losing my damn mind. It's almost ridiculous to process that we went months without any sports at all, and here's a Monday and a Tuesday to start the week without any Flyers, without any Sixers, and I don't know what to do. I'm lost. I really am. I'm emotionally destroyed. So luckily, you asked me questions that I can react to, and you're saving my day. You're saving my life. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I just want to make sure that everyone is fully aware of how you can chime in for when we do this again in the future. There's multiple different ways. First is on Twitter at Brodes81. And by the way, every Wednesday starting tomorrow, we will have a giveaway. That's right, every Wednesday. So make sure you hit that follow button to stay tuned on how to win. Another place for you to ask questions is the YouTube community page. I like to throw things up there, throw questions, tell you to react and respond on the YouTube community page, and also the Anytime Hotline, 856-442-9805. It's not just a phone line to call in, it's also a text board, so you can text as well. Sometimes I like to respond just casually, hey, what's going on? What do you want to talk about? If someone texts in, yeah, I'll respond. So there's another option. All right, so this is going to be structured. It's going to go Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, Flyers. That's the order. All right, here we go. Kalen Porter. Yo, Brodes, what's up? Do you think Carson Wentz going silent means anything? And what do you think they could get in trade value? All right, interesting. So we're going to start off with Carson Wentz drama. I'm not really that surprised. It's still a hot topic around this city, no matter how much you want to believe it's Joel Embiid, or it's Doc Rivers, or it's Ben Simmons, or it's the Flyers, although I don't think anyone's really making the argument that the Flyers would ever take over a quarterback controversy in this city. Do I think Carson Wentz going silent really means anything? Yeah, I think it's telling, of course. Because if he was getting in front of all this noise and he was making statements early, I think it shows that, okay, he is willing to put all this behind him. He is willing to move forward, and he is okay with staying in this city. But because it's been so long, that's almost a message as well. When you talk and when you speak, you are delivering a message to this fan base. When you stay quiet, when you zip your lips, you are also making a statement. But I just wonder how much of this is his surrounding pieces and his supporting cast, his agent saying, what's the benefit? Let's weigh out the pros and cons. Your pros, well, they don't really outweigh the cons. Just stay silent and let's see how this works when they hire a head coach, when they hire their coaching staff, when they make those decisions. Let's stay calm. Let's not react. Let's not get emotionally tied. Let's see what direction this franchise moves in, and from there, we can operate. I do think it's a little silly that the first time he shares anything since the season ended was him making a statement to Rodney McLeod saying congratulations. You know that we are all waiting to hear from you. And out of the blue, you're going to throw a congratulatory video out there on Twitter. And I also question, does he even control his Twitter? Does he have like a PR team, a self-PR team that kind of helps him utilize what he does on his social media platforms? Because he's not the type of guy who's out there tweeting his personal opinions. It's all very structured and about his AO1 Foundation and things that he does on the side. It's sort of like his team who utilizes his social media presence. It's not so much him. I don't know anymore. I'm so annoyed. I'm so bothered. In terms of trade value, I don't think you're going to get much. A third-round pick, a fourth-round pick. Look, the Rams just had to give up 2 firsts and a third to get rid of Jared Goff. So maybe a third or a fourth is wishful thinking. I'm just truly disgusted and bothered. You now hear Malcolm Jenkins speaking out, talking about how the organization allowed Carson Wentz's ego to control everything. At this point, it's so many sources, it's so many beat reporters, it's so many analysts, it's so many guys inside, it's so many teammates. Come on. When there's smoke, there's fire. And I know that's cliche for where we are right now with Carson Wentz, but whether it's right or wrong, or whether it's his fault or it's not his fault, because there are guys that do speak positively on Carson. Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelsey, and those are veteran players that are truly respected in the locker room. So there are guys. Fletcher Cox said he was his best friend. I almost fell over. I was so damn stunned. So there are guys on the other side, but I just feel there is so much tied to this where it's time. It's time to cut the rope, no matter what his ceiling is, no matter if he gets back on track. It's too much. But to answer your question, Kalen, do I think going silent means anything? Yes. Yes, I do. Because the last we heard was he needed time. He needed time to think about things. He's obviously not happy. Him and Doug Peterson were banging heads. Too much. And everything he does at this point is going to be so intensified. If he has a bad game, week 1, week 2, week 3, he's going to get drilled. He's going to get murdered. But here's the problem. The organization is committing to a retool, to a rebuild, to a coaching staff that's 39 years old and younger. The statement was, by the front office and by the ownership, Doug wanted to win. We're not ready to commit to winning. Yet this quarterback is coming in with so much pressure, with so much noise, with so much drama, that if he doesn't win, he's going to be booed. There were no fans. Imagine what it's going to be like for Carson Wentz if there were fans. And there's probably, hopefully, going to be fans next season where that guy is going to have a tough going if he doesn't go out there and play strong. Because he's losing members of the Wentz society every day that goes on. And at this point, I don't think you can speak. You waited too long. Him speaking now, what is he going to do? I thought he had an opportunity when Nick Sirianni was hired to say, like, let's go, fellas, let's go to work. Excited to go to work with Nick Sirianni. If he went down that road, I think he could have gotten away with it. But at this point, it's been so long. And now Jalen Hurts is speaking, although I don't think it's truly a big deal because he was speaking very, very player speakish. He didn't really give you much. I'm willing to work. I can't wait to work. Brian Johnson, we have a relationship. I mean, he didn't give you really much. It's just the fact that Jalen Hurts, you actually heard from him compared to the other quarterback where you have not. So that's where I'm kind of at with the Carson Wentz stuff in terms of that question, Kalen. Thank you so much. Now we have a phone call as well when it comes to the quarterback situation.
Hey, bros, just calling into your Ask Me Anything podcast. So my main question is, who do you think the Eagles should pick as their quarterback? I'm not asking who you think they're going to pick. I'm asking for your opinion. Who would you rather have, Jalen Hurts, or would you rather have Carson Wentz?
Now, that's interesting because it depends on context here. Like, if you're just asking raw skill, better quarterback, it's simple, right? Carson Wentz has the intangibles. When I look at his skill set and his ceiling and what he can be, we've seen it. Unreal MVP. So who is that better quarterback? I think I need to go with Carson Wentz. If we are now adding everything in, which I'm assuming you are, right? Because that's what this is all about. Now, I don't know if Jalen Hurts is the guy. I don't think that he is this franchise quarterback that you move forward with for years and you have that guy. What I think he can be, though, is because this organization is committed to this rebuild, retool, if you will, I think he's a serviceable guy. He's someone that you can go out there and the team would play for, and he would be dedicated to the craft, and he would have the proper mindset, and he would give you everything you have. Is that going to result to making the playoffs and being this lethal team? No, and I think in a short window here, you'd have to look for that guy. And maybe it would be at number 6. If you did get rid of Carson Wentz, maybe you utilize that 6th overall draft pick and get yourself a quarterback that you believe in, that you move forward with, and maybe Jalen Hurts isn't even on the table. How about that, to throw that into the mix? But with everything surrounding this noise, it's too much. There's too much gain going on here. You gotta move on. So with all the context, not just looking at it from a this or that standpoint, looking at it from everything going on right now, I'm over it. And that's a lot for me to say, considering I'm a huge, or at least I was a huge Carson Wentz guy. Big supporter. Over the 3-4 years prior to this season, the hate was irrational, in my opinion. To say he did nothing, and he's bad, and he's abysmal, and he's garbage. All those Eagles fans with those takes, that was embarrassing. Because you weren't really basing that off of anything. He showed you success. He showed you what he can be. Were there bad moments? Absolutely. Every quarterback has bad moments. Drew Brees had awful moments. Aaron Rodgers had bad spurts. Big Ben had bad times. Quarterbacks have bad times, have bad seasons, have bad stretches. But they pull themselves out of it. Carson Wentz was helping pulling this franchise out of it, whether it was that 4-game stretch, whether it was putting them in a position to win a damn Super Bowl. So all that hate prior, it was ridiculous. And I fell in the category of a Carson Wentz big-time loyalist because there were reasons to be. Now there's reasons to not be on a more serious level, and it comes to the relationship side of things with the locker room. And I think we are so far gone. So to answer your question, not because I think he's your franchise quarterback. Not because I think he's the answer. But I think the Carson Wentz era is over. And my answer would be Jalen Hurts. And I'm almost blown away that I'm saying that, really. It's almost like ridiculous to think that I am saying that. That's how bad this is. That's how atrocious this situation is to me. I don't know. And I guess I shouldn't say this because I feel I get blown away all the time when I cover the Philadelphia sports teams. But I truly don't know if I'm ever going to see something as dysfunctional as what we are witnessing right now. From Carson Wentz's payday to drafting Jalen Hurts to Carson Wentz's downfall. Whew. And if we do, I don't even want to know what that's going to be. Oh, I just had the goosebumps and the chills thinking about the disaster and the nightmare that is possible in the future. Let's move on. Let's move on to the Sixers. JIW 180. Who do you think has stepped up on the bench for the Sixers? Love the content, Brodes. Thank you so much, JIW 180. Who do I think has stepped up off the bench? See, right now, I think Shake Milton is playing poorly, so I don't think I can go with him. Dwight Howard is a very emotional, up-and-down guy. We love the professionalism of him, but let's not act like he's been dynamite. There's been moments where he's been strong off the bench, and he still has been the best backup Joel Embiid has ever had, but I think that truly shows you what we've had here. Norvell Pell, Amir Johnson. Who did they sign off the bench? I almost just said Greg Oden, but it was Greg Monroe. I like Dwight Howard. I think it was a great signing in terms of veteran minimum. But I don't know if I can go that road. Tyrese Maxey's enjoyable, but he's a rookie, so it's not like I think he stepped up so much on that bench that you're going to be able to rely on him in playoff moments. I think you guys know how I feel about Furkan. In terms of the bench, right now, by default, I guess it's Tyrese Maxey, but I'm afraid that he's not going to have enough to properly be a piece that you rely on. You saw Doc Rivers limit him to 6 minutes against the Lakers for a reason. He plays a lot, but he plays a lot when you have COVID issues, when there's contact tracing problems. That's why he gets a lot of run that he gets. He's not ready yet. And that's fine to say. That's fine to admit. It's not a knock on him. I would say 99.9% of players who enter the NBA are not ready yet for that role, for that big-time role on a championship contender-type team. So I hate to have this answer right now. My true belief is no one right now. If you asked me earlier, though, weeks ago, it would be Shake Milton, but he hasn't put on that type of performance in a significant amount of games, so I can't say him. My real answer is no one. By default, I guess it's Tyrese Maxey, but that's not saying a lot. And there's still time for Shake to become more of Shake Milton that we saw where he was giving you 20, where he's being more of a scorer. But he hasn't been efficient enough for me to really give you that as my answer. Jason Pierre from Philly. Hey, Brodes. How you doing? I was just wondering how you feel about Shake's cold streak. And do you think if he keeps it up, we get more minutes to Maxey? I did not even realize that went back-to-back, but it worked out perfectly. I don't think Tyrese Maxey is ready. And even with Shake playing this way, I would still feel more comfortable with him playing that role in the playoffs. Even if Shake isn't as efficient, even if he's shooting 4 of 10 from the field, giving you 10 points, and he's more focused on maybe running the offense instead of being that scorer, although I think that would hurt this team because you are going to need that punch off the bench, because you are going to need that scoring off the bench. I don't know if that would necessarily result in winning games. Maybe that would be the downfall. Maybe that would hurt this team if you don't have enough of that, but here's the argument. Minutes shrink. Rotation shrinks. You don't need to rely as much on the bench, but you're talking about your 6th man now. Your 6th man is a role that does matter in the playoffs and will have legit time in the playoffs. I still think I lean toward Shake just because he has more NBA experience. He has been up against tougher opponents. He has more minutes logged in, and I think I just trust that right now more than a raw Tyrese Maxey. So that's telling you a lot about how I feel and how I value playing time and logging in significantly more amount of minutes throughout an NBA career, just experience when we talk about the NBA playoffs. So my answer to that is even if Shake is on a cold streak, I think I still rely on him to run the offense more than a rookie in Tyrese Maxey. Shadow Steve, thoughts on the Sixers possibly trying to trade for J.J. Redick? Would you like bringing him back, or should they fill holes like a stretch 4 or a stretch 5? I think it's obvious they are going to look at the stretch 4 position. They've mentioned it a billion times, and there's been reports that Mike Scott has had a setback, and that damages that position even more. So I think that's inevitable. You are going to see that. What direction Daryl Morey goes? Well, I keep hearing the perfect fit is P.J. Tucker. Do you really believe that the Houston Rockets are going to deal him to the Philadelphia 76ers? You know, there were reports that the Rockets were possibly using the Sixers as leverage to force the Brooklyn Nets to offer a higher package for James Harden, and they were informed by upper people in the Houston Rockets organization, you are not trading with Daryl Morey. So I don't know if that's going to work just based off of the relationship of the two parties, obviously Daryl Morey leaving the Houston Rockets. The stretch four is inevitable, though, and I trust Daryl Morey to go out there and get someone who is going to help that spot. I think you see Tobias Harris log a ton of minutes because of that, and they try and stagger Ben Simmons and try and stagger some of these starters, but sometimes it's just too much, and you're going to have to find another avenue to get a guy in here to play some of those minutes. In terms of J.J. Redick, I'm not against it. It depends on the package, but I'm not giving up a lot to go after him. I'm not giving up a younger, promising player to go out and get him. I know this sounds crazy, but I feel the Sixers have that role already. Danny Green, he gives you that, and he gives you defense. Seth Curry, he gives you that, and he gives you more versatility by the ball being able to be put on the floor. Like, he can actually put the ball on the floor, and he can shoot off the bounce, and he can give you a little bit more than J.J. Redick, and he can still give you similar looks, whether it's the dribble handoff, working with Joel Embiid. Maybe it was smoother with J.J. and Joel Embiid, but at the time when that was your roster, that was really all you had. Now there's so much involved with the spacing, and there's so much more that you can do. I don't think you need to rely so heavily on it as much, which changes the style of play. The way you look at it is J.J. Redick would be a serious upgrade over Furkan Korkmaz in his role. That would be the role that you upgrade, but I just question, do you have that already figured out where maybe upgrading from Shake Milton is a better option? If you get a Derrick Rose, a veteran player who has been around the block, who can create his own shot, who can run the offense, who you can rely on more with the ball in his hands to be a more traditional point guard, to run that second unit, to be that sixth man, would you rather upgrade that and not go after J.J. Redick? And that would be the way that I lean. I think upgrading from Shake Milton is probably your better bet and would help this basketball team out in the near future more than J.J. Redick would, because you somewhat have that already figured out in Seth, in Danny, and Doc Rivers, whether I like it or not, is going to use Furkan Korkmaz as a floor spacer. Do you have that? And I think the answer is the way that they view this. Yes, I think that they have that. So me personally, I would head in another direction, but I won't hate it as long as the price is right. Speaking of price, what DraftKings, what they have to offer right now is insane, as it is Super Bowl week. Listen up, you pigskin fans out there. The 55th Super Bowl is this weekend. 55, and a game this big deserves a big prize, not just some trophy. And DraftKings, the official daily fantasy sports partner of Super Bowl 55, has up to $55 million in total prizes up for grabs with their Super Bowl prediction pool. All you have to do to get your share of these huge prizes is enter DraftKings' free Super Bowl prediction challenge. Once you submit your picks, you will get a free instant prize up to $25,000. And if you have the most predictions correct, you can win the top prize of $1 million. $1 million! Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code Brodes to enter the free $55 million Super Bowl prediction challenge. Everyone gets an instant prize up to $25,000 just for playing. So use promo code Brodes now and enter the free $55 million Super Bowl challenge. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of Super Bowl 55. Terms, conditions, and eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. All right, we do have a call coming in about the 76ers. Let's hear it.
Hey, Brodes. I wanted to ask you, would you rather have Kawhi Leonard miss the Game 7 shot and the game goes to overtime, or would you rather have Alshon Jeffrey make the catch in the 2019 playoffs? This is a question that me and my friends debate every once in a while, and I wanted to get your thoughts.
That's a great question, and that's tying in the Sixers and the Eagles, of course, but that's an interesting one, and I feel my stomach told me it's an easy answer, and that's the Sixers. Alshon with that catch. You're on the road. You're playing the New Orleans Saints. Who knows what could happen? You just made something special happen previously with Nick Foles taking you on that magic ride. That team fought back after Carson Wentz struggled, had the back injury. He was put down for the rest of the season. Nick Foles, here we go again. Oh, man, to pass up a possible double run of Nick Foles and making a playoff push, that would be insanity. But my gut told me it was an easy one, and it was Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons getting an opportunity in overtime to beat the Toronto Raptors. It just would have been such a statement. It would have been so big for these guys to, if they would have won, to make the Eastern Conference Finals at their age. Oh, man, that would have been unbelievable. But you raise a question from there. Would that have changed your franchise? And I know people would not like to hear this, but if they would have won that game, is the Brett Brown tenure different? Do the Sixers lose Brett Brown's voice so easily the following season? Because it's obvious. Last year, the voice was lost. It was lost that season. I know everyone wants to say it was years before. It wasn't years before. You talk to a lot of these guys that cover the team. You talk to the guys that have been in and out and in the trenches, in the Camden facility, all throughout this team. Every night they play, the voice wasn't lost. Brett Brown's voice wasn't lost until last season. You could tell, and it showed. It showed on the court, and so be it. It was time to move on. But I just bring this up because if you make the Eastern Conference Finals with Brett Brown, well, do you get a different outcome the following season in the bubble? Remember, Ben Simmons was injured, so when they got swept by the Boston Celtics, you weren't fully healthy. And Ben Simmons himself even stated, when you go to that bubble and you're not fully involved and engaged mentally, you're going to get your behind kicked. You're not going to be able to produce the way you need to. And the teams that got bounced early, it showed. Doc Rivers kind of alluded to the same thing as he was there with the LA Clippers. And remember, Joel Embiid, he said he didn't feel comfortable. He didn't really love the idea of the bubble, having the kid at the time. There was so much involved. I'm just pointing it out, though. The coaching change, maybe this was what was best. The way that it all played out was best for the future of this franchise because you got Daryl Morey, you got Doc Rivers, you got Dave Yeager, you got Burke, you got Sam Cassell. You got this mature staff that could be the difference in winning multiple championships down the road instead of, hey, making that Eastern Conference Finals run. But I'm going to stick to my guns. My answer is I wanted to see that Jimmy Butler team go up in the Eastern Conference Finals. Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons. I believe that they were so young that was the downfall of that team. They just were not ready to win yet. But you got to also factor in, lots of factoring in here, because as we date back to that time, there was so much involved. Golden State Warriors fell apart completely that season. A lot of injuries, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, which made it an easier path for Toronto. You could argue it was lucky, but it doesn't say lucky on the Toronto Raptors rings or banner. Could that have been the 76ers? Oh, but it would have been overtime. It wouldn't have been a win. It's not like that Kawhi Leonard shot. If that missed, the Sixers won. Damn, that's an interesting question. It really is. That's a fantastic question. I'm going to go with that double bounce, though. If we could take that all away, that was heartbreaking. All right, let's transition to the Phillies. Dave, the Phillies fans, have the Phillies done enough to fix the bullpen to help the team win? The answer is I don't know. They've made moves and they acquired pieces. Here's reality of the situation. In the MLB, bullpen guys are up and down. There's a very select few, and even that is going out on a limb to say they are automatic guys that when you get them, you know they're going to be able to perform. But I do see them taking risks, taking chances, trying to help that team out. Trying to put together a stronger bullpen. It's hard to put anything together that would duplicate that. There's only one way to go, right? There's no way that you can go back in that south direction. There's only one way to go from here. So from that angle, I guess there's some positivity involved. Have they done enough? I think that they still need to take more chances. They got Archie Bradley, which is someone that is more respectful for the bullpen. They have Hector Neris. They have Connor Brogdon, who showed some upside. Jojo Romero. So there are some pieces there. Alvarado is a name of a guy from the from the Tampa Bay Rays that you can be optimistic about. I just don't know, because in the bullpen, guys have stellar years, and then they follow that up with abysmal years. Adam Morgan, there was a stretch where he was playing under Gabe Kapler where he didn't allow any runs for so long. It was amazing, but before that, he stunk. After that, he stunk. But he had that one sequence of, wow, who can get a hit off of Adam Morgan? Who can score a run off of Adam Morgan? Nobody. So it's so up and down for these bullpen relievers and their careers. You thought David Robertson was a no-brainer guy, and I liked the signing at the time. He showed that he stayed healthy all the way through his career. You signed him to a nice contract, and boom, you never see him really play. He played a handful of innings, so you never know. But I do trust Dave Dombrowski. I will admit, I thought maybe my instant reaction to him was a little strong, and I'm feeling more confident. Not that there's no reason to feel concerned that when he leaves, this thing's going to be a complete mess. But look, this team hasn't been in the playoffs in years. It's so long. 2012. That's so long. It's 2021. We got to get a guy in there who knows how to at least get us there to this point. And he's making the proper moves. He's bringing back everybody. And that's step one. That is step one. So to answer your question, did they do enough to the bullpen? I trust Dave Dombrowski to take more shots, and I think that they're doing the best they can in these circumstances. Did they leave some guys out there on the table that I think could have helped? Maybe like a Rosenthal, maybe like a Brad Hand? Yeah, I think so. But at the same time, maybe some of these guys work out. I don't know. I'm feeling way too optimistic, and it scares me because it normally takes me a while to feel good about a team. It takes me a while to get sucked into who they can be and what their identity is, but I don't know. I'm feeling too optimistic, and it goes against everything that I believe in before a season begins. Mark Shivo, how big is it that the Phillies brought back Didi? Oh, I think it's huge. Of course it's huge. There are a lot of Phillies fans out there saying all you did was bring back the same lineup. You brought back the same team in terms of the guys that are playing on the field. You bring back JT, you bring back Didi. How is that good enough? Well, the bullpen was such a disaster. The offense wasn't the problem. Now, there's games where they go quiet and there's stretches where they go quiet. Welcome to baseball. But when you look at their production offensively, they gave you good enough stats and good enough numbers where you can win with that. It comes down to the pitching. So if you look at it from a multi-layer process, if you bring back an offense that is very reasonable to win you games, step one. You have Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler. You have Zach Eflin, who I'm intrigued by. And once again, I feel like I'm getting sucked into the optimism of him. Like, there was a time where he was listening to the old coaches, the old pitching coaches, and it was a joke. It did not suit him. He said, screw you all. You're all pain in my ass. I'll go back to what I'm doing. And he was utilizing the strike zone down low, but he wasn't afraid to go up high, but he was using the lower half of the strike zone. He was getting comfortable with what he wanted to do, and somehow his strikeouts per 9 was going up, which I was amazed by. Like, I'm intrigued by him in that third spot. My instant reaction was, that's not enough. If he can play the way that he was playing down the stretch, he was giving you complete games. Teams don't get that. Players don't do that in today's era. His pitch count was staying low. I was impressed. Like, I don't know why I'm getting sucked in. Once again, I'm getting scared that I am. It's not normally me. I don't know what's happening. But so Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, check. Zach Eflin is obviously, whether he's good enough for a 3 or not, he's serviceable in your 5, check. You got to find ways to get more starting pitching, but maybe that's something that happens next offseason. You got to work on this bullpen. So now it's, okay, we brought back our players, and we have that to work with. Now, when we attack another offseason, when we attack trades, it's about the pitching. So when you fix that pitching, you have the other pieces. You can't snap your fingers and have everything all at once. It's a multi-layered process. So bringing back Didi is huge. I do question, what does this mean for the shortstop market in the next upcoming years that people are excited about? I also bring up the question about Bryson Stott. But in terms of the deal for Didi, the 2 years, I believe it was $28 million. I'm excited, man. Didi is a hell of a shortstop. He's a great clubhouse guy, very respected, can definitely hit homers to right field, never left, which amazes me. Never, not by accident. Not by accident has he hit an opposite field ding-dong. It's incredible. That's almost impossible. But he can sure pull it. And I think he's going to have great numbers, and this lineup will allow him to bat somewhere where there's protection throughout, as long as, well, see, now I'm starting to counter myself again. I'm getting all in my head, because what is Rhys Hoskins? I don't know. Coming off of that surgery, I don't know. But I was going to say, in theory, on paper, there's a lot of depth, and there's a lot of protection throughout, with Bryce Harper, with Didi, with JT, with Rhys Hoskins, with Alec Boehm. So in theory it is, but I don't know what Rhys Hoskins is. And there's still some holes throughout, like center field I'm not sold on. I don't know what Scott Kingery is. So look, here I am like almost getting myself disappointed again. Wow, I was just feeling so pumped up and juiced up. I'm an emotional wreck. I really am. We have a Phillies phone call.
Hi, I love the show. My question is, what is your realistic idea of where the Phillies will end up placing in the standings this season? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for making the call. Quick and short and to the point. The Braves are going to be a fantastic team. The Mets, once again, in theory, are going to be a fantastic team. But right now, I need to put them ahead of the Phillies, of course. I mean, they traded for Francisco Lindor. They got a better pitching staff. Their pitching staff is lethal. They got Cohen, although he's getting a lot of heat for all this GameStop stuff and whatnot, which is outrageous. I wonder if that plays a role on anything, but I really highly doubt that because everyone was just so excited, but there's some backlash involved. Does that really mean things are going to change on the field? No, so I don't know why I brought that up at all. The Nationals, I don't really know what to expect from the Nationals. Like I always feel that they're a good team, a competitive team, but are they this lethal stud type of team? I can't go that far. So to answer your question, where do I see them being? 3 or 4. 3 or 4. In the NL East. And I hate that I say that, but I think 3 and 4. But they're going to be a competitive team. They're going to be a team that you can watch every single night. They're going to keep you interested, have storylines. You're going to be excited to watch them. They're not just going to get blown away until maybe September, where they go through that stretch of late into the season where they collapse every single year. It might get bad then, but then, hey, you got Nick Sirianni and you got the Eagles to look forward to then. So that's where the Phillies are out of sight, out of mind anyway. In terms of getting you through the summer, I think they're going to be something that you can talk about, something that you can watch, but I don't see them being a playoff team this season, and I hope I'm wrong. And I brought this up before. The Nationals, the year they won the World Series, you didn't think that they were a World Series team, but you knew they were good. With the Phillies, obviously, I don't think they're a World Series team, but I think that they're just a competitive team. Well, if the Nationals at a good team, their ceiling is a World Series, can the Phillies be a competitive team where their ceiling is a wild card spot? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying win the wild card. I'm not saying anything like that. But if I'm just looking at their highest possible ceiling, somehow they become a team that just thrives and their ceiling is a wild card spot. If I think they can go from competitive to wild card, is that the most insane thing to ever come out of my mouth? No, I think it's possible. There's always teams that overachieve that you didn't speculate would be that good. There's always teams that you put a lot of pressure on that fall below where you feel they can finish. So is it possible for the Phillies to make the wild card and be that last wild card team? Maybe. It's a reach. I wouldn't bet on it. If I'm a betting man, I wouldn't say that's the case. The caller says realistic possibility. I say 3 or 4 in arguably the most competitive division. But they'll be watchable. And I think that's important. I really do, because nothing's worse than unwatchable baseball. Let's move on to the Flyers. We got one here from Dylan Bradley. Do you think the Flyers can make a deeper run into the playoffs this year? Well, last year they lost in the second round in Game 7. Right now, this team is all over the place. Defensively, it's abysmal. Losing Matt Niskanen was brutal. They have great goaltending tandem in Carter Hart and Brian Elliott. Those two are spectacular. Look, once you get into the playoffs, if you have a hot goalie, anything can happen. So if you ask me the question, do I think they can make a deeper run? Yeah, I mean, anything can happen in hockey. That's the one sport where you get in and it really can take you on this magical ride. You see 8th seeds win the Stanley Cup. You see Jonathan Quick get red hot and take that Kings on a magical journey. I mean, it is very possible. So do I think it can happen? Absolutely. Can it happen playing this way, where you're going to have to bear down more, get better structurally, defensively? Is that possible with the decor that you have? Well, if Sean Couturier gets back and he's healthy, and Chuck Fletcher spoke today, apparently he's 7 to 10 days, hopefully, away. Morgan Frost might be done for the season, so that's pretty damaging in terms of depth. You know, if you get Ivan Provorov, Shane Gostisbehere, Travis Sanheim, and Phil Myers playing as a strong foreign, and you somehow get competent play out of your 5th, 6th defenseman, which is an issue right now, sure, I think that they can make a deeper run. Right now, do I see them as an Eastern Conference Finals team the way that they're playing? No, and that would be a deeper run. I see them sort of in that area of where they were last year, which is a second-round team. But once again, anything can happen. They're playing bad hockey, and they have 7 wins. Does that mean if they somehow play great hockey, it's going to be automatically insanely different? My problem is I think they're playing bad hockey because this is who they are. I don't think that they can just turn the switch and flip the switch and become this dynamite team like you're seeing with the Montreal Canadiens or some of these other squads out there. Like the Canadiens, are you kidding me? Outrageous what they're doing. I don't see that. But it's hockey, and you never know. We'll leave the pod with this, because I did say ask me anything. Sparta ask this question. I guess it's not really a question. It's more of a statement. Brodes, list your top 3 favorite Dallas Cowboys players of all time. What the fuck kind of question is that? What? My favorite 3 Dallas Cowboys? The fuck is that? There's my answer. What the fuck is that? What? I'm blown away. I'm also blown away, not with just that question, but with what Orbit Energy and Power provides. With over 20 years of experience in the solar industry, Orbit Energy and Power is home to your solar experts in residential and commercial projects. They are dedicated to making sure your project is completed easily and properly by using high-quality materials and trained professionals to get the job done right. Their solar program eliminates your electric bill completely by offering flexible financing solutions such as $0 down. They also provide water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. Check out their information. It's all down below. I had a lot of fun doing that. I think to the point where I want to implement this more. It's a lot easier to do it when there's not as many games, because it's always like Sixers, Flyers, Sixers, Flyers, Sixers, Flyers, Nick Sirianni interview, this, that, Carson Wentz. There's so much going on that it's hard to slip this in throughout. But I had a blast, and I just feel like there's so many interesting questions that come my way that I wouldn't normally talk about, or it just brings a different approach to the question, a different perspective on the question. I love this, so I'm thrilled, because I think I want to do this more for sure. Thank you all so much, and I will see you next time.